On a Saturday afternoon in August, around 3 p.m., Layla Stahl Buffett gave birth to her second child and first son. She and her husband Howard Homan Buffett named their new bundle of joy Warren and brought him into their simple Omaha, Nebraskan home. They could not have possibly known that he would prove to be one of the greatest business geniuses of all time. His father's family owned a grocery business that Howard was unable to find success in. He turned to investments, a decision that would shape his family and set the stage for his son's future. It was at the height of the Great Depression, and while Warren had the good fortune to be born to a financially tactful and stable family, no one in America could escape the impact made by this nationwide crisis. Warren learned early how to make extra cash, starting a small operation of selling gum at the young age of 6. The Buffetts were dedicated Presbyterians with conservative views, and when his third and final child, a girl named Roberta, turned 6 years old in 1939, Howard became involved with the local school board to take a hand in the education of his 3 children. His interest in shaping the future for his family led him to run in the House of Representatives election of 1942. This was also the first year Warren bought stocks at only 11 years old. Even as a boy, he had an interest in business and purchased 6 shares of what is now Citgo. His father won the election despite predictions of his failure and became known for his honest and ethical practices while in office. So much so that he served 4 terms. During all this, young Warren continued making practical and ambitious business decisions with various side schemes. By the age of 16, he had earned today's equivalent of $53,000 by delivering newspapers, selling used golf balls, buffing cars, and other money-making ventures. When it came time for Warren to make his plans for adulthood, he wanted to hit the ground running and start his business career. He revealed in an interview with Bloomberg that his father was the one to convince him to try college and stick to it. This turned out to be advice he was glad he took, saying, "There wasn't a class that disappointed me." He pursued further education, applying to Harvard Business School. His application was denied, and he was uncertain what to do next. Warren always aspired to business, and likewise, his idols reflected that. He heard that David Dodd and Benjamin Graham, who had been termed the father of value investing, were teaching at Columbia Business School, and knew that he wanted to learn from these 2 financial giants. Warren contacted David Dodd with a request to be admitted. In many ways, Warren was not the average young man, but in cases of love, he proved how like his peers he really was. Around the same time he was starting at Columbia Business School, he had a crush on a young woman who was already taken. He responded by trying to compete with her boyfriend, who was a ukulele player, by purchasing and learning the instrument himself. It would prove unsuccessful, but he continued to play, and eventually, it would lead him to love. In 1952, a year after he graduated with a Master of Science in Economics, he would marry the music-loving songbird, Susan Thompson. That same year, he met his lifelong friend, Lorimer Davidson. Though working as an investment salesman, Warren was always sniffing out other ways to make money. When he heard his idol Benjamin Graham was on the board of Geico Insurance, he showed up outside the headquarters and knocked until someone let him in. This led to a discussion with Geico Vice President Lorimer that lasted for hours and impressed Lorimer. As should be expected, Warren dreamed of working on Wall Street. His father and Benjamin Graham both convinced him otherwise, and Warren worked as a stockbroker while taking a public speaking course. Ever the multitasker, he used what he had learned to teach a night class for investment principles. Susan gave birth to their first child, and he purchased a gas station that proved fruitless. In only 2 years, he was working for Benjamin Graham's partnership at what would equal $114,000 a year today. In another 2 years, Benjamin Graham retired and closed his partnership. By this time, Warren and Susan had 2 more children, and around $174,000 in savings, which would equal $1.64 million today. He purchased a modest home, which he still lives in today, and he started 3 partnerships of his own. He began to buy stocks in Berkshire Hathaway from the textile manufacturing company's owner. He then fired the owner and took over the company, using this move to buy more stocks in companies. Between 1960 and 1990, Berkshire Hathaway's shares rose 28% under Warren's control, while the major stock averages rose only 11%. He was earning his nickname of Omaha's Oracle, as his decisions proved profitable far more often than not. He reached billionaire status in 1990 when Berkshire Hathaway started selling Class A shares. Warren often criticized opulent spending and government policies that were harder on the middle class than on the wealthy. However, he regularly structured his billions invested into Bank of America and Goldman Sachs as shares just for himself to avoid paying as much taxation. This has led many to question his true opinions on the matter, wondering if he feels this way only in regards to personal income, if he is only claiming to hold these views to improve public opinion of himself, or if he just can't help himself from making the most frugal business decisions he can. One thing that has always stood out for Warren was the enormous amount of his fortune he has dedicated and spent on charitable donations. He planned and has started to donate 83% of Berkshire Hathaway's stock to 5 separate foundations, saying he did not plan on leaving his children much. Instead, he wanted to leave them enough money so that they would feel they could do anything, but not so much that they could do nothing. The main foundation he has donated to is the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, garnering a good friendship with Bill Gates. The two play bridge together multiple times a week, and Warren actually learned to use a computer to be able to play online bridge with his friends. Another hobby of the Oracle of Omaha is reading, and he has claimed to spend 80% of his day reading. During his early investment days, he read it to 1,000 pages a day, and avidly believes it's vital to increase knowledge constantly. Not much can keep Warren Buffett down. In 2012, he was diagnosed with prostate cancer and went through a rigorous 2-month radiation treatment. The aggressive treatment helped Warren win the battle, and he has been cancer-free since. During the hostile election period of Barack Obama and John McCain, Warren openly supported Obama and dedicated time and money toward his campaign. He supported him again during his second campaign, though he didn't agree with some of the president's decisions, such as the healthcare reform. Warren believed it was not the kind of changes that would make enough difference for the American economy. He continued to back the Democratic candidate, with Hillary Clinton challenging President Trump to reveal his tax records and doing so himself. Though Hillary lost, Warren did not become spiteful or overly critical, saying that he only hoped the government performed well. Throughout his 89 years, Warren Buffett has shown an astute attention to the financial goings-on in the world, an uncanny ability to predict future trends, earning his moniker of Oracle. He had come under fire for his sometimes ruthless business practices, as he had made decisions with profits as the top priority. Putting his wealth toward worthy causes that he deemed good for the nation, he refrained from spending it frivolously. He has made mistakes like all of us, but they didn't stop his progression to the top.